Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jake Kerr, and this is another Black Ink podcast. Today we have all new audio equipment. We've officially stepped up. When I say we, I have officially stepped up the game here at the Black Ink podcast. I have the Rodecaster Pro, number 1, not number 2. I have all these new microphone arms and pop filters and microphones and XLR cables and all of these things that I've learned just of late, which have all been thanks to the sponsors that I have on board. So I would like to make special mention to BRL Maintenance, which is my man Brant. He is a maintenance home handyman specialist. This dude does all the jobs that you don't have time to. All right. So is there things around the house that you need to get to, but you're not going to be able to get around to it, or maybe they're just outside of your skill and you need a professional to come in and get those jobs done? Brant is your guy, okay? He is a patch and repair damaged walls and ceiling specialist. This means they can come in, that little hole in the wall that you nicked from moving furniture, or maybe that ceiling that's detached from where the wall meets it and you need to regrout it or whatever. He is the dude who can fix this for you, okay? He does small paint jobs, small and medium paint jobs, and he does a little bit of tiling work as well. So perhaps that's tiling in the bathroom, that's a little bit of splashback action in the kitchen. Brant is your man who can help you out and get these jobs fixed, right? So if you're looking for someone to come and do some of those home handyman jobs, tasks, and whatnot, Brant is your guy. You can find him on Facebook. The link is in the description below, or on his mobile, which is 0480 331 Also, I'd like to make special mention to Dylan at DG Air Southwest. He has been in the industry for over 11 years, but just recently stepped out on his own 2 feet and started his own small business in the aircon space. So if you're looking for installing, I'm a little bit lost in my words here, sorry. If you're looking for a split system, if you're looking for an evaporative, or if you're looking for a repair or a service or just a little bit of air conditioning knowledge, get a hold of Dylan. He's going to be happy and excited to help you in your air conditioning journey. And he just loves conditioning air. This is something you've got to understand about Dylan. He is such a badass when it comes to air conditioning. He's so excited to turn cool air into hot air and hot air into cool air. So when it comes to your air conditioning needs, speak to none other than DG Air Southwest. Dylan is your man. You can contact him directly on his mobile number, which he prefers, on 0407 719 208, or you can find all of his social media information and links in the description below. Hit up Dylan, tell him that Jake from the Black Ink podcast sent you, and enjoy your air conditioned. And also, last but not least, let's not forget Owie's Garden and Owie's Garden Nursery. I always say and Nursery, but it's just Owie's Garden Nursery. Now, you probably haven't heard of Owie's, right? Okay, come on, Jake, get it together. And last but not least, I would like to make special mention of Owie's Garden Nursery. Now, you may or may not have heard of Owie's, and look, up until not that long ago, neither had I. Owie's are located behind the farmer's market, right? Not actually behind the farmer's market, but they're in that little dog leg behind the farmer's market that should link back onto the big roundabout, the Elup roundabout, but they don't. So you got to, as if you're heading back towards Picton from the farmer's market, you turn right at the roundabout, you follow that dog leg all the way around, and there at the end on the left. And it is a tropical oasis. I go there just to declutter my mind. I go and chill out for just a little bit. I like to take in all the smells and the sights and the atmosphere of being surrounded by all these beautiful plants. David and Ben have just recently installed all of these misters, which in these super hot days just adds that nice, cool, calming, beautiful effect to the whole place. It's such an experience just going there and checking out all the plants I have on offer. The staff are super friendly. They're super helpful. If you have any questions about plants, or if you're looking for some new plants for your yard, and I know they even offer a bit of a landscaping service where they can come and look at your place and see what plants will work and actually help with the process of putting those plants in for you. So if you are looking, let me actually read this little bio that he given me. This is beautiful. I like this. It's not just a regular garden center. It's a family business that started from a genuine passion for plants. The owners poured their heart and soul into creating a space where people can find amazing plants, great ideas, and get expert advice while wandering in a paradise within a city. And guess what? They also offer landscaping services. See, I told you, landscaping services. To help you create your dream outdoor space, or we can help with indoor installs too. With their expertise and dedication, emphasis on the dedication, you can trust that they'll bring your vision to life. Oh, and don't forget, they're open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Thursday to Sunday, Hollywood hours, eh? Swing by whenever you can and let the friendly staff guide you through the amazing selection of plants. Can't wait to hear about your gardening adventures. And they're located at 36 Moorland Avenue, Glen, right near the farmers market. So head into Owies, get yourself some good vibes, get yourself some plants, tell the crew that I said hello, and be good to your mum, because this is a podcast with Ash from the Climb Collaborative. We had such a good conversation just regarding all things business. I seem to love talking about business lately. And I think once you listen to the podcast, you'll understand why. Ash is super motivated. She's super tied into her business and really like not treating it as a job, really treating it as a part of her life, which I really resonate with. And I really encourage people who are in business to not kind of separate their work and their life, to really kind of tie it all together and have that really like fruitful and rewarding experience. So I hope you get as much out of it as I did. Certainly this is the longest guested podcast that I've done to date. So hope you get as much out of it as I did. I said that twice. Very cool. Anyway, here is our conversation. Ash from the Climb Collaborative. You're 30 in 2 months.
30 in 2 months. I actually had a meeting this morning, and someone, when I said that I have 3-year-old twins, they were like, "You what now? How old were you when you have your kids?" I was like, 26.
Yeah.
And they're like, "How old are you?" I was like, 30 in 2 months.
Wow.
No one believes me. Everyone thinks I look like a baby, but my brother and I both have baby faces. So it is a blessing.
Yeah, 100%.
Except when I never take my ID anywhere because I never have a wallet and get asked for ID. Can never buy alcohol.
I swear I am of age. I'm actually 12 years over the limit of no, I get it when I go out. I tell people like I'm 30 and like everyone's like, 24, 25. Yeah. Then if I shave my beard off, it's fucking game over. I literally look like I'm early 20s.
Yeah.
Which is great now.
If I don't wear makeup, I am a baby.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking oath. That's it.
We should really not be complaining about this.
No. In like 10 years time, I tell you what the main thing, this is so off track, but like I sunscreen under my eyes every day. It's like one thing. Yeah, I know. It's like one thing like I've seen my nana go through it and my dad go through it, where they get, I'm not sure what it is, but like I think they cut right under your eyes and then they cut here and then they like join them together. And you get like black eyes for 6 weeks, but you also aesthetically look like you're the age you're meant to be.
Yeah, right. So
I'm like, all right, if I can call this 30 years out, I'm definitely going to like sunscreen. I really should just sunscreen my whole face. So I'm like, that's the one part I definitely.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm going to age first.
I love that. Instead of sunscreening your whole face, you just do.
Yeah, well, I'm a businessman. I'm busy.
I've got shit to do. I haven't got time for sunscreen over the whole face.
Well, where do you stop? So then you go, okay, I'll do the tops of my ears and the back of my neck. I might just put on my arm. What are we doing?
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. Not wrong.
I'm very like, well, it's funny, I was listening to, do you listen to Hormozy?
No.
Right. So Hormozy doesn't advertise at all, his podcast, but I think his aspiration is to build $1 billion thing, he says. And like the business that he's doing that in is irrelevant, doesn't matter. But he basically says, I wish that Musk and, like Gates and everyone who's like billionaires documented the process, but they didn't. So I'm going to do it for you guys. Yeah. He says, like, pretty much if you listen to the podcast, tell other people about it, but it's, like, perfect for people like us. So I listened to one today, and it was about the first 5 staff members that you hire. Yeah. And the point that he was making is you're essentially, all you're doing is, like, you get good at all the jobs first, right? Everything that falls under the banner of your business, you're like, I'm kind of a semi-pro in everything. And then you get someone in to do 1 or 2 or 3 of those things. They're not in sales, they're not in bookkeeping, but they kind of, like, get good at a few things so you can replace you so you get your time back, right? So the job of an entrepreneur is literally like get good at something, employ someone to do that, get more time back to then get good at something else. Yeah. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I might have to get the link from that podcast from you because that sounds very interesting.
Every podcast is a level up.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're like even listening to that and then you're like obviously you actualize it with your business and you go, well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting a guy and I hired him as a salesman. He's been doing so much production stuff that he doesn't have time to be a salesman. Yeah. And I'm saying to him, well, it's kind of good because then when you go and sell the product, you understand the process. And when a customer says, I might go with this position here or that, you can go, well, that's not going to work or that is going to work. Or I'll point you in this direction because you've done that and you understand. And it's great because then it goes, well, if I know he understands that, then I don't have to teach him in that area. And I can use that time that I have now to go get good at making mud flaps or whatever it is,
Yeah, I when we first started the business, the first thing we did, we actually did like a mentor course thing before we even started. So I think that was definitely a big tick for us. Like, instead of just going, let's start a business, we found someone who did something similar to us.
Yeah.
And actually did like a mentor course. And the thing that she was really big on was she's like, everything that you do, write it down. Like, write down the process. She's like, it might seem so frustrating and so time consuming, but eventually you're going to want to hire someone.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier if you have a step-by-step process already created to give them. So yeah, if you like, and you're right, you become an expert in everything in your business, but then at least if you've got the list, then when you bring someone on,
here's the manual.
Yeah, here's the manual. You can do all this. So the
systemizing of your business, I feel like you get to a certain point where you go, okay, like, this is a great example. I've got like 4 micro businesses.
Yep.
Right. And I'm in a position now where it's like, okay, I need to free myself up. Otherwise, I have a ceiling, essentially. Like, this is what I can do. I can only like sign write a car a week. I can make about 300 garments a week. I can make some stickers, and that's it.
Yeah.
But you get someone on, you go, sweet. Well, I know I can do all that. If you can do all that, I can then go out and get more work, or we can figure out whatever it is. But the glue between those 2 steps is the system. So then you go, okay, here's, as we say, the manual.
Yeah.
You know, when you do this, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's not just the writing down at the start. It's the when you give it to them to do the thing, they'll show you all the gaps in it. Because they might get to 2 and go like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's not your fault. We just have to fix the system a little bit so that, you know, and then hopefully you give them responsibility to take control of the system.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to teach someone.
Yeah.
You know, ideally they're going to teach a team of people, and
it's
going to blow up. But did you know when you start a business, you'd have to be a systems expert as well?
Oh, and you need like a management course in how to manage people. I was lucky my corporate role put me through a leadership role course. So that has been absolutely so helpful in my business. Like, the things I was learning, I didn't think would be that beneficial, but as a business owner, honestly, having leadership skills, people management skills, just knowing how to manage people well and their expectations. And like you said, like, someone gets upset because they didn't know like, that's not their fault. That's on you. Like, so just all those kind of things. When starting a business is insane. There's just so many more avenues that you need to know.
Yeah, actually, I'm realizing how influential Hormozy is, because like, I've had like 3 things go through my mind just then. I'm like, all of them are like Hormozy points. But I think one of the big things about business is you're growing yourself.
Yeah.
You're not growing a business. The quicker you can grow yourself, the vehicle is the business, and that's kind of the byproduct that benefits from it. You're like, oh, sweet, you know, I can now generate this amount of money through my business because of X, Y, Z. But it's only because you can kind of point and shoot from the top. Yeah. You know, because if you're a poor operator, and I think there's a big line in the sand between small business that gets to 100K a year and stays there forever. Yep. For the rest of their lives. Like, sweet, I got my own business, I can have sick days, I can do that. Well, you don't really have a business. You have a job that you're the boss of. Yeah. You know? Yeah. You get to that point and then you go, okay, I now need to scale this. Before I can scale my business, well, I need to know what scaling is. I don't know what's required, you know? And like, that's when I never knew leadership would be important. Now I'm learning that. You know, no one wants to follow a leader that doesn't have a strong sense of why. No one wants to follow a leader that doesn't want to be a leader, you know, and all these things. Yeah. But fucking businessman. It
is interesting you say that, because one of the questions we got asked was at the Young People in Business event. One of the questions Reese had asked me was, what's one thing you wish you did differently before you started your business? Yeah. And that was the thing. It was spending more time understanding how I could make the business scalable. Yeah. So when we first started it, we were like, this is sweet. Like, we didn't have a lot of expenses except my time. Yep. So I was like, this is good. We just get work. I do the work. We get the money. But we didn't and that was kind of the business plan. But if we had spent more time thinking about the future, that was like almost 8 years ago. If we had so we had maybe a 5-year plan, but what about a 10-year plan? We didn't really think about making the business scalable, which is if you're starting a business, like, that's 100% one of the tips I would give is, well, once you get to that point where you are earning enough profit that you're matching a salary that you would earn working for someone else, then what?
Yeah, what comes next?
And obviously it's different for everyone. Like for some people, that's perfect. They don't want more than that. Like, and that's totally fine. Like my husband and I are on a very big, like, experience is more important than money, like, phase at the moment. We're talking about traveling Australia and all this kind of thing.
For sure, that's important.
So yeah, I guess it depends on you as a person and what your values are and what's important to you. But yeah, once you get to that point where you're not working for anyone else, you're earning the same amount of money, you can afford to live.
Yep.
Is that where you want to stop? Or if not, you need to think about that before you start your business.
A clear sense of like what the path looks like.
Yeah.
You know, I think actually no, it's a clear sense of what the end result is similar to, and being not attached to the path.
Yes.
Like that's a really big deal. Is like, you know, I was going to be earning $1 million a year by now. Yeah. I'm 3 years in. What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
You know, I'm still not hand to mouth, but I'm not far above that.
Yeah.
So I think that idea of like people kind of objectify what the goal is. You know, it's a red Porsche. It's like a 5x2 in Marston Hill. It's this, that, and the other. But it's like, I think a real sense of success is a mindset. You know, it's like, it's just liking who you are.
Yes.
It's liking what you do. It's liking your community. It's like having strong role models, being a strong role model for people to look up to you.
Yeah.
And it's like the money thing, if you do it right, is a byproduct.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? But I think when people get into business, they go, you know, like without the goals, they hit that $100,000 a year ceiling and they're like, fuck yeah, I made it. It's all good. You know, I've got a commercial property. We do this, you know, we operate, we do 5 days a week. We knock off early on Fridays. Great. And that is great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. That's awesome. If that's what you want. But I feel like the real entrepreneurs are young ones who go like, I'm going to be a crypto guy, or I'm going to start this business in, you know, detailing or whatever it is. It's like, very cool, do the work, but also understand that like if your goal is that real entrepreneur, like mogul, whatever it looks like to you, it's like understanding that goal, you have to be able to make it identifiable. And like you have to go like, okay, cool. If that requires me to think, like you said, 10 years in advance, I need to be the sort of person that thinks 10 years in advance.
Yep.
I can't just be the guy who says, I want to be that person. It's like, all right, you're now, from this day you make that decision, you're that guy. You know?
Yeah, and the practical steps that are like mapping everything out. Like the thing that I find the most valuable in goal setting, and it's something I learned in my leadership course, is action steps. So, okay, this is your goal in 10 years' time. Break it down into smaller goals, and then what are the little action steps to get to each goal that you can tick off each day or each week that to get you there. Because one, the satisfaction of ticking off an action step and getting to that goal. But what you're saying about like the goals, and it's okay to think I want to be like that, but how are you going to get there?
Actionable goals is huge.
It's
so big. Like if you're a runner and you're like, I want to do the however many minutes it takes to do a kilometer, it's like, sweet. Well, if you want to do that in a year's time, just knock off a second every week and then you'll be there. Right? And then you get to that like Friday. I did check my Strava. I did it a second. I'm on track. You do 2 seconds quicker. You're like, this is sick. You do 1 second behind. You know where you've got to be. You know. What's your method of setting goals? Like now, obviously, like I feel like the goalposts constantly move the more you learn. Oh yeah, absolutely. You know? They change all the time, and I never hold on to goals. I said something the other week. Don't hold on to processes, opinions. Goals is another thing, so tightly that they stop you from progressing. So just I set goals. Basically, as soon as I achieve a goal, I always at the end of the year think about what I want to achieve that year. I write everything down. I write action steps of how I'm going to reach all of those things. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and that's okay. Like I have things pivot and priorities change, and we had a really, really big year this year. Like lots of personal stuff happened, and I did have to push stuff out and pivot a little bit and really think about what was important to me in the business. And so I think sitting down at the end of each year, looking back on what you've done the previous year, and then also looking at what is going to be important to you, but not holding on to those things tightly that they stop you from progressing, because we progressed massively this year, but in a different way than what I was expecting. 100%.
So because over the year things changed. My goals changed. I had to pivot. Yeah.
I think the distinction between goal setting and not goal setting is step one.
Oh, yeah.
Like so many people, they're just like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like I just woke up one day and I don't have my 20s anymore. It's like, yeah, because you weren't fucking paying attention. It's because you didn't sit down at the end of every week. Like I reflect every day.
Yeah.
Like I have weekly goals, I have monthly goals, I have yearly goals. And it's like, yeah, it fucking sucks doing it. But then, you know, like I have, you know, I'm using someone else's words. Like I have an unparalleled success in my field at the moment because I'm doing the things that work, that they've tried and tested, you know what I mean? It's like I literally wake up every day and say the same thing to the sky, like, here's what I'm going to do, here's how I'm going to do it, here's who's involved, here's what I'm going to give to have that. Yeah. It's like, it's no surprise when things start happening. It's like, yeah, because I fucking planned it to.
Yeah.
You know?
And you manifested it.
I
know that that's... Everyone's a bit funny about the woo-woo manifesting, but if you believe something in the depths of yourself and you say, I am going to do this, that is manifesting, and that is how you make it happen. The people that go, look, it's what we were talking about before, that imposter syndrome. Like, you always doubt yourself. You always go, oh, can I do that? But it's about talking to yourself in a way that I am good enough to do that. I can do this. And even if you don't believe it, you still say it. You still do it.
Yeah, there's two parallels I make. One's to religion. I talk about it on the podcast all the time, so I'm going to avoid that one. But that's what manifesting is prayer. Like, it's very simple. Yeah. So the other thing is like addiction. I don't know if you have you ever smoked?
No.
Right. So I'm a victim of nicotine addiction.
Yes, so is my husband, so I live it.
Right. The crazy thing about nicotine addiction is, because I remember being a kid, I'm like, I'll start smoking just to prove it's easy to quit.
Yeah, right.
Right? I've always had that sort of like, fuck you confidence.
Yeah.
So the thing I didn't realize when I was a kid is I thought it was like the voice of the devil telling you to smoke. Have another cigarette, have another cigarette. It's not, it's your voice.
Yeah.
It's your voice.
Yeah.
The parallel between being addicted to nicotine and being a fucking winner is it's both your voice.
Yep.
Like I tell myself every day, like, yeah, I'm a millionaire already. It doesn't matter about the bank balance. It matters about like I think like a millionaire. Yeah. I operate like a millionaire. When I'm let's do this thing. We've got this concept. Here's how it's going to be. It's like, all right, don't think about how we're going to afford it. We're going to afford it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right. That's really actually not that important. How you're going to afford anything. It's like, what are you actually going to do to get there?
Yeah.
So again, kind of crossing this over to prayer. It's like when you manifest, when you say these things out loud, when you like tell the world what you want, you create a spell by using words that you give to the universe, and they're going to give you physical things back. It's your voice.
Yeah.
So I know for the last 3 years, I've woken up and said the same thing over and over and over, that I get to a point now where I'm kind of like, yeah, I know I'm going to win one day. You know, it's like I'm so sure of it. The same way that when I think about cigarettes, it's like one won't kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that. I just think it's so interesting, the idea that people think they're not addicted to things when it's like you think you're in control because you're telling yourself, yeah, I'm just going to have one more. It's like, no, that's the substance.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's exactly the same with manifestation. It's like you're telling yourself, but instead of it being a negative thing that's detrimental to your health,
it's a positive.
It only benefits your life.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. I love that analogy. And I feel like a lot of people would find that really helpful as well, because there are a lot of people that kind of are in that victim mindset and do feel like they have no control over their life, and especially now times are hard, like things are expensive, so I feel like just knowing that like you have that control is really important.
Oh look, I've woken up years in a row at 3 o'clock in the morning to go drive a truck for 12 hours and hated myself and said that times are tough and that this sucks. Yeah, it is. And the slog to get out of that's really hard. Yeah. And then you get to a point one day where you don't have to do that anymore. It's only got harder, but now you're enjoying the pain.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that like, and this is the thing, like I don't smoke cigarettes habitually now, but like I'm going to an event in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to buy a packet of cigarettes. I'm going to smoke one every single moment I want to. I'm not going to hold back just in case a packet runs out. If it does, I'll buy another packet. You know? So I think it's like actualizing that voice in your head to understand that like, life is tough.
Yeah.
You know, saying it's funny actually, because creating my prayers which is basically a positivity mantra that speaks about my goals, that's as hard to do every day as it is to quit cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the first thing I do when I wake up, I don't want to go pray, but I go pray. That's part of it. And it's funny because on the weekends I don't, and I feel like I'm out of balance.
Yeah.
You're having these days off, and the actual result of it is like, oh, I'm kind of not tethered to my life these days. People live their whole life not doing this, and they wonder how their 20s slipped away from them. Because you're not fucking doing the work. You're not paying attention.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
And you're listening to that same voice that's saying, like, just have another energy drink. Just have another cigarette. Yeah, I know your job sucks, but you got to have a job, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. Start a business, figure it out.
Yep. Do something. Just do something. That's and when we started our business, I talked about it for years. Like I really did. And I don't know. I started talking about it so much that I got to a point and I was like, okay, well, this is going to happen because it's right. What you're saying about the voice in your head and saying, well, you're not going to do that. And I'm like, well, I've got to get up and go to work every day because I went to uni and then the next step was getting a corporate job. So that's what I have to do because, and you think that's just what you have to do.
We're justifying the step before every time.
Yeah. But then I thought, well, if I'm talking about this so much, I must want to do it. I must need to do this. And then I brought it up with Rosie and she was like, you have to do that. That's a really good idea. So it was just kind of like giving myself permission to go.
Take that step.
I can do that, but I need to choose to do it. And I need to wake up every day and go, I'm a business owner. Yeah. Not just I'm doing a little hobby business on the side and I'm just doing this for.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I still have days where I'm like, you just slept in today?
Yeah.
Is that you? That's you?
Yeah.
You just slept in because you decided to, and then you go like, yeah, I fucking did. You know? And it was sick. I loved it.
Yeah.
I also stayed up to 1 o'clock last night doing design work that I didn't enjoy doing, but I also did that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the other thing is I find so many people when they talk about starting their own business, I want to start my own business because one, they want to make more money in their own time and have freedom. Yes, they are all benefits and obviously your schedule is flexible, but I'm not saying I didn't stay up till midnight every night last week because I had a big week.
Yeah, exactly.
And most of the time I really do love what I do, so it doesn't feel like work, but it is work and sometimes I don't love it and you just have to do it. And like you said about all the hats of owning a business, I've also got to do my accounting and like all that kind of stuff that comes with managing a business. It's a lot of work. There's so much work that goes into it and it's not all about I run a business and I make it like I get to go to the beach every day and make it like heaps of money and blah, 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 blah. There's so much little behind the scenes that you don't see, waking up, checking emails every morning. Yeah. You know, like managing everything, giving up time with your family, like not going to bed. It never switches off.
I believe that there's like this, right there, dog. I believe that there's this thing where people talk about work-life balance. Like, I need a work-life balance if I've got a time I've got to be at work and a time I've got to go home. Yeah. You know? Yeah. A work-life balance is like you're sitting down, you're negotiating the job. They're like, look, we need you for 50 hours a week. And you're like, I either need more money or less time at work. You know, that's a work-life balance conversation. You're in business. You're in your 20s and 30s. Just shut the fuck up and do the work. Yeah. Like, you've got so much energy right now and you need work-life balance. What are you going to do? Go throw a frisbee in the park? Yeah. Just work. Just do the work. You know what I mean? And like, this is the thing. You want to, I really like, do you know Shaz? Yeah. Yep. So Shaz came on the podcast a year ago and she had like either had just started or was just about to start. And I remember having this conversation with her and she's like, I don't know about you, but I just want to keep going. Yeah. It's like, you belong in business. 100%. That's what that is.
And also, if you're starting your own business, it pains me when I see people say, what's a good small business idea I can do from home? That's not a good idea.
Yeah, no.
If you are starting a business, you better be passionate about that business.
Do the thing you like doing.
Yeah, you might not enjoy every single second of it, but you will love that business, and that business is your baby. You want that business to do well. So, you might people say to me all the time, oh, like when you don't have kids, you're working, like all I do is do my business and have my kids. But I love those things.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah.
things are what I want to be doing.
Effortless.
Like effortless.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, I could go down, drink wines at a winery on the weekend and stuff like that. And it's good to do that every now and then. That's good, you know, but I think you need to be so passionate about your business, especially what you say when you're young, that is what you want to do all the time. And you have a break from it and I miss it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. I've just kind of got over this hump of like, so this, obviously you grow with your business and like I've went through this stage where my partner was like, hey, you need to stop working on the weekends. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. And listened to a Hormozy podcast not that long ago and he's like, hey guys, just so you know, like I'm telling you as your millionaire friend, fuck your weekends. Just keep working. If there's work to be done, just do it. Because unfortunately what happens is you spend Monday and Tuesday catching up on Saturday and Sunday, so your 5-day work week turned into 3 because you'd, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying the analogy of a bloke who just got a new job and he goes, look, I need the first 6 weeks off. I know I've just got this job, but I need these 6 weeks off. I had this thing booked in for 6 months. And the boss goes, sure, I'll give you, I think it was like 105 days off, paid. And he's like, 105 days. Yeah, that works for sure. He goes, sweet. That's all of your weekends.
Yeah.
If you just work for me, that's all of your weekends in a year.
Yeah.
That's what you get paid to take off anyway. So I'll give them to you straight away. And he starts doing the maths. He's like, well, no, then I've got to work continuously sort of thing.
Yeah.
So then when you cross that over into being a business, right?
Yeah.
Say you get me in an alternate universe and he's working 5 days a year and I'm 5 days a week and I'm working just 6. That means I get 50 days a year ahead of that guy.
Yeah.
Now you do 7 days a week, and I'm talking about doing 8 till 4. I'm talking about we do the shopping on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. You sit down, it's 2:00. Sweet, I'm gonna go do some design, email, whatever, have some dinner. I've got another couple of hours I'm gonna do. Well, you're now 4 or 5 hours ahead than Jake over here, who didn't do that.
Yeah.
And in fact, now we're gonna stack that 4 or 5 hours on a Monday morning before we get started.
Yeah.
You know, you're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and you're like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Compared to the guy who's like, oh, I just snuck in 6 hours on Sunday afternoon and I'm prepared for the week. And when my staff walk in the door, I'm like, sweet, you're doing that. I've got to pop out to a meeting.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now compound that over 1 month, compound that over 6 months, in a year. And all of a sudden, you're talking serious percentages in growth just by taking your shit seriously.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
And and you're right. You don't need to put in it doesn't mean putting in a solid 8 hours on a Saturday. It's thinking, like, fitting things in where you can. Like, I don't, unless I allocate time to switch off, I'm always thinking about the business. Like, I'm always checking emails. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Sunday or a Saturday. I am on top of what's going on in the business.
Yeah.
Like, I prepare every Sunday afternoon. I prepare for the week. I do on the weekends, and I do have days where I set boundaries. Especially, I've got a young family, so it's obviously
you're in a different situation.
They're only young ones. So, but yes, the business has been going for 8 years. When I started this business, I was working full time in corporate, and I was working till. So I would like wake up in the morning. I'm talking 4. Like I would wake up at 4, get a bit of work done, go to the gym, go straight to my full-time job, come home and keep working until 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. And I did that for a long time.
Yeah, that's real hours.
I put in the hours, and I also think that that's the reason the business was successful, was because I started it around a full-time job, because I had the money to invest back into the business. So I see a lot of startups that don't get anywhere because they run out of money, and whereas like for the first, I think it was almost 2 years, I think, like I wasn't making any money in the business. Anything I did make, I was putting back into the business because I didn't need to live off it. Yeah. And then the other side of that is I learned what hard work is. Yeah. I learned how to manage time.
Your value of $1 is $1.
Yeah. Yeah. And a value of an hour is an hour. Yeah. I can get up at 4 o'clock and get an hour's work done. And I know how much those extra hours add up as well.
100%. Yeah, I mean, the first 2 years, I'd say 2 years of being... So do you know much about the story of Black Ink? There's a coffee van for 4 years.
I knew about, the coffee van. Yeah. I knew about that.
So I sold the van, kept the name, and then I ended up being a truck driver. Yep. Was driving road trains. So that was like a job, yep. You know? I met my partner, and the discussion started around just my dismay for being an ant. You know, I just wake up and I drive these trucks and I tip dirt and I go back and I get more, and it's just like, God damn, when does this end? When I die, is that it? And I was like, all right, let's pull our money together. Had a full drive and a caravan. I'm like, let's just go.
Yeah.
The day we were meant to go was the COVID lockdown.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we ended up living in Mandurah, just like house or like sitting a 5-acre block, living in the caravan, and like the money was starting to run out, and like we left with 10 grand each. So it's like enough to get to the first town, and being a truck driver, you can work anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm a jack of all trades. I make it work, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to a 5 grand, and I'm like, fuck. Like, we need to make a plan, otherwise I'm just going to be a truck driver in Mandurah instead of Bunbury.
Yeah.
That wasn't the plan.
No,
COVID didn't look like it was going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I actually had like a stint drop shipping, you know, drop shipping?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did a stint drop shipping, and I realized like through the methods of learning how to market, because I learned how like Facebook advertising, how to use Illustrator, how to use Photoshop, how to talk to the camera, you know, how to test a product and all these things. And I was like, oh, I should be the, you know, instead of having someone else's product that I'm selling, I have a product already, black ink.
Yeah.
So let's do that again. And all of a sudden, it was like one day just all the pieces fell into place, and I was like, oh, fuck fish finders. I don't care about fish finders. That's what I was selling. Yeah. And it's just kind of been a continuous growth ever since then. You know, like I got to a point, I was outsourcing everything. I was learning the real ins and outs of organic social media use, which is like probably the reason that you know of me now is because of my social media presence.
Yeah.
But the big thing was I realized that to rebuild my community that I had and to keep adding to it, I just had to be front of mind. Didn't have to have a good product.
No.
I just had to be front of mind. And I realized that if I wake up at 3:34, which I was already used to with truck driving, it was in my vernacular to wake up early and work, and just sit there and engage, like, comment, hashtag Bunbury, like, comment, local businesses, go to all their followers, like, comment, not follow. And just all of a sudden, I had 700 followers to 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000. And all that was making sure that when you woke up, the top notification you had was from Black Ink. Black Ink, Black Ink, Black Ink, Black Ink. And I'd, again, post, you know, Gary V, post 3 times a day, every day, whether it's photo, video, stories, whatever. And now it's at a point where, like, I kind of stepped away from that and I go, okay, that part has been done. You know, I'd love to keep growing, but the point is here, like, that the community that I have now hopefully will turn into a flywheel. So I can post 3 times a week, super valuable content that I know how to make, that I know what lands because I've tested my audience, I've tested my community, I know what they fuck with, and I make that. You step away from that and you go, cool, now I know how to do that. What's the next thing to focus on? And then whatever I'm focusing on that, document that story through what we've learned in the waking up early and doing that all the time. And I've now realized that I actually get more, my cash flow is better from staying up late, doing whatever I have to do for the customer, waking up late, being more comfortable in my life, but creating stuff that's actually more valuable to the end user as far as content is concerned. But that whole idea of like, I never realized being in business was waking up at 4 o'clock and using Facebook and Instagram. But it was at that stage, you know?
And it still is now. I feel like there's been a really big step back into in real life as well. So I was looking at something recently. So at the moment, I'm really big on like networking, public relations, because public relations is just your relationships in the public. So Heidi Anderson says that. I went to her event. So like I've been really like trying to think about every business I interact with. I'm like, what's your story? Because it's about storytelling. It's not what you said about the business being the vehicle. It's about who you are and how you operate your business, and getting that out and networking with people, going to events, like you say, with liking and commenting on their stuff, building those relationships. And I've seen you've posted before about just being a good person. That's what's important in business, and building those relationships. So there's definitely, I feel like everything is so digital now, and social media is kind of, the algorithms changed again. Like everything's just gone wild. So how can you get those connections with people and be a real person? So like get to know people as a real person and let them genuinely get to know you and your values and things like that. And is that so you get up really early in the morning and you see what events are on in your area that your business resonates with and things like that.
Also what you resonate with.
You
know, because, you know, you go to Well, a good example is like I'm at the point now where I have enough clients or enough of a client base that I do business with people that share the same core values.
Yeah.
You know, because if they don't, it's like I know they're going to be hard to communicate with. They're going to be hard to negotiate with. If we have a conflict, it's going to be hard to resolve that conflict. But if like I had a situation recently where one of the someone that I was getting to do work for me, like subcontracting that work out, we had like a problem with the product, and it wasn't what I thought I was going to get. And it's like being able to just go and sit at that person's desk and say like, here's the product, here's what I thought it was going to be, and here's what it is, and here's what the problem is, and them going like, yeah, it's cool, we'll just fix it for you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I know now because I've been in situations literally the exact same. I'm like, here's the product, and they're like, cool, man, you paid for it, you've got the product, can you get out of my office?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think, you know, rewinding it a bit, going, okay, what are the things that I really like doing? Go and get involved with that more, because then you're going to meet people who like doing what you do. And typically speaking, they're going to have similar values.
Yeah.
And in that, if you end up doing business with them, win-win.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, you get single friends like, I don't know where to find someone. It's like, go do shit you like doing.
Yeah.
Then you might meet someone who likes doing the same shit you do, and then guess what? You're about to do it together.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Very interesting. I think one of the real like with that event on Friday, you know, because I went on my push bike, I went there, and then I was like, fuck this crowd. I don't want to be here. Friday night, I've had a long week. I don't want to do it. And I did a lap of town, and then messaged Jack Manoni. I'm like, can you meet me out the front? I'm coming back. I'm actually going to come in. And it's funny, the conversation I had with myself is like, look for, like, go and do that, because that's more powerful than doing a post. That's more powerful than whatever, you know, actually interacting with people and letting people see that you are contributing to that micro, you know, community, to that culture. And then, you know, has led to you coming on the podcast today. So it's a great example.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. Like, I don't know what this chat was meant to be about. I keep bringing it back to business and like how you can benefit your business. It seems to be what I do. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, it's just networking and meeting people, not hiding behind your business and your screen. And I kind of pulled myself up on that and realized I was doing it. And that's why I'm trying to get out more. And like, obviously I had very, very young kids, so it wasn't very easy to leave the house, but it's starting to get easier now. And I'm like, well, the amount of people I was meeting who were just like, I was getting clients through the website or Facebook, and they didn't even know I had kids. And I was like, these people don't know me at all. And I feel like I'm a pretty good person. I want people when they come to me to know that they're coming to me because they want to work with me and they know who I am. And I think as a business owner, that's so important, is putting yourself out there. And going to those events, it's really hard. It is hard. Networking is the hardest thing to do, especially going there on your own when you don't know anyone. I took my husband and we ended up knowing people there, but I didn't know anyone except Reese. It's really hard to just make conversations with people, but you never know what is going to stick and what is going to stand out. And like, I didn't even talk to you there, but I saw you there, and just seeing you gave me the push to, I'd been meaning to message you for ages. I'm like, this guy, like, obviously we're really big on local community, and you do heaps of local Bunbury stuff, community. And I always see you're like, I saw you Jake for Bunbury, like, you know, I was like, perfect. I love local community. That's what we're so massive on. And just seeing you there was the push that I needed to message you and say, hey, it was so good to see you there. Sorry I didn't get to have a chat, you know? So putting yourself out there in the public and building relationships that's how you grow. I
was bummed I missed that.
That one was so good. It was really good, and
it sold out straight away.
I'm not sure, because Rory actually messaged me and said, do you want to come to this event? I hadn't even heard of it, but I think I need to pay more attention to what's going on. Pretty busy, but
that's pretty. That whole thing I didn't even realise was happening.
No.
The one before was at the Rose, or the one before that was at the Rose.
Oh, really?
That's where I met Jason.
There you go.
Who was on the last podcast.
It's such a good initiative. Like, young people in business is such a good initiative, especially in Bunbury.
Yeah.
But so I walked into that event, and that was kind of where I realised that a lot of people, like, didn't know much about me, who I was as a person, because a few people said to me, oh, the Climb Collaborative, I've seen that before. And it's like what you were saying about, like they know who you are from like that peripheral knowledge. Yeah. So that kind of made me go, oh, people do know about my, that's a pretty cool feeling. People know about my business. But then I kind of was just like, well, what's the next step here? Because like, I feel like I want to get who I am across more as a person, and want to kind of move more in that direction and hide behind the business a little bit less. But I lost track of what I was saying there anyway.
I think there's this when you go into business, I think, or when people look at business from the side or from outside, they kind of go like, well, how do you ramp this up as quick as possible? Yeah. And I think it's easy to go like, well, now I'm here and all these people know about me. How do I convert them? Yeah. How do we monetize them? Yeah. And I think that is the dragon. Yeah. Never look directly into the sun. That's looking directly into the sun. If you go, okay, all these people know about me, how do I keep adding value to them? Yeah. Now you know about me. It's like, well, where do I fit into your business? I don't want to make money off you, but what one of my skills would help your business the most? Yeah. And can I give that to you for free? Yeah. Yeah. And if that's a 15-minute phone call, fuck yeah, I'm free after this. Yeah. You know? So I think when you do that, and like I feel like I'm constantly trying to hold back Black Ink, because if I had just ran with the first good idea that worked, this would have been totally different now. And I'm having all the fun in the world. Yeah. It's like, as long as we have enough money to buy your shopping and to pay the rent and do it, like, we win. Yeah. We win. That's a millionaire's mentality. Yeah. I got a fucking convertible that's worth $2,000. That's sick. I don't need the $50,000 or $100,000 Porsche. Yeah. We're good to go, Yeah, yeah. So I think that, like, the idea of being able to, and again, I'm kind of contradicting what I'm saying because I didn't want to go to this event, but also going into that event and going like, all right, we're here now. Yeah, yeah. It might be a bit rough to go have a conversation with that person. Go have a conversation with that person. Yeah. And this is actually right before we had that little pause there. I was thinking about this. I always use the analogy of doing wheelies, right? So I've just learned how to do wheelies as a 30-year-old man on a push bike, right? Perfect. In the past 12 months, it's one of those things where like my whole life I've just wanted to be able to do wheelies. Yeah. And now I can do them so well. But you know what it took? 1 million wheelies, 1 million attempts. Yeah. And it's like, you see these guys with big muscles, they weren't born like that. They lifted up weights 1 million times. Yeah. Yeah. And they're still lifting up weights. Yeah. And people go like, oh, you're a naturally good speaker. You're a great communicator. Yeah, I wasn't before I started practicing. Yeah. And absolutely. I continue to practice. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I've found my train of thought again about like, going into these events, it's not easy for anyone, and you go in there and I find that there's two kind of people in those events. There's the ones that go in there thinking, what can I get out of it? Yep. And then there's going in there thinking, what can I put into it? But going too far either way is not good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So sometimes I go into those events and I'm like, all right, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for the business. So I got to talk to all these people and like give them all this value, and like, that's good. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Like I want to help everyone here, and I want them to know that I can help them, and I want to support their business and all this stuff. But sometimes you just need to take a step back and be there and be present, and you're just going there to connect with these people, and it doesn't matter if you have something to offer them or not. Yeah. And then the same thing, if you're going in there going, what can I get out of this? And you're like, okay, well, I need to talk to this person because I could probably get this out of that. Yeah, I need to make that contact. Yeah, I need to make that contact, where you could miss out talking to this person who could be really valuable to you. So, like, I think the runs on the board idea as well, like if you go to, like, say, right, I'm going to go to 52 social public events this year. So it's like one a year, one a week that I've got to get out to and kind of be there. I think one thing I learned having that sort of mentality, where even with my social skate, like twice a week I rock up. Yeah. Rain, hail or shine, I rock up. Yeah. Because you learn as much at the one where it's windy and raining, and no one's going to go. No one was ever going to go. Yeah. But you pull the big white van up with Black Ink all over it, and then 6 months from now, you have someone say like, I remember seeing you at 5:30 on a Monday, pulled up, and the rain's going sideways. Yeah. And you were there. Yeah. Well, in that moment when I was there, did it feel like I was adding value? Did it feel like I was learning anything? No. And then 6 months later, you have someone reference that and you're like, oh my God, everything's important.
Yeah, everything.
Everything is important.
Everything. How you show up is so important in personal life, business life, everything.
Oh, that actually reminded me a little bit before. So like I have this common thread that's been coming up over and over lately. It's that we are the average, you know, we're the average of the 5 people that surround us. We're only as good as the advice that we get, that sort of thing. And it's, you say like your boys are only this age once, right? I think one really important thing there is that if you're working hard, the likelihood of one of or both of those boys, probably both being identical twins, are being hard workers, the probability's gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Because mum's a hard worker. I have no doubt dad's a hard worker.
Yep.
That's why you have similar interests, because you're like, you don't have one person saying like, you need to chill out, and the other person saying like, no, I don't. You have 2 people going
he
like...
He does tell me to chill out a little
yeah,
bit,
but to the point where it's like, you know...
Yeah, yeah.
And I think where it's like, you know, my mum and dad are both extremely hard workers, and that's maybe not at all scared to work hard.
Absolutely,
It's almost an expectation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I told dad, called me at 8 o'clock this morning, and he's like, you sound a bit rough. And I'm like, I just woke up. You know, I stayed up till midnight last night doing this shit. Oh, yeah, I guess I kind of deserves a sleep in. And you're like, for fuck's sake, man, what do you want me to sleep 4 hours and keep going? You know, it's like that hard work mentality is instilled.
Yeah. Oh, and my parents have the same hard work mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah. My dad worked out at Muja for Synergy like 30 years. And, worked so hard. He went back to uni at like 45 or something, did a business management degree because he was like, well, I'm at this level, so what's the next thing?
Right.
So having those people around you that always are like, you can do good and you can do better.
Yeah. And then that blueprint has fallen onto you. That blueprint will fall onto your children.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, you know, I know this is talking like generationally, you know, we were talking before about having a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
All of this is for my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all this is generational thinking. I'm trying to build the gentleman it takes to be a father.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build the bad motherfucker it takes to teach them really important things, you know, that go beyond just like, you know, be a good person, get a job, be a part of the system. It's like, nah, take over the world.
Yeah. Well, that's the big thing is me and my husband have been talking about a lot is like, because he works for a big company, like he's worked his way up, like, in his field.
Yep.
But now he's like, well, I just feel like a part of the system. Like I'm going to work 50, 60 hours a week. Like there's got to be more.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do this for the rest of my life and go, well, like what? You know, what happened? What's
next?
I never stopped. I just worked to pay the bills and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, we've been thinking like, okay, well, like once he finishes this contract, this is a really good job. We've already got a investment property in Perth. Do we sell that? Do we buy a caravan? Do we travel around? I can work from anywhere. I've got a portable mobile business.
Yeah.
And he can work from anywhere as well. He is smart. He has drive. He can talk to anyone. Like, so we're like, how do we use our skills to like create a life that we want to live and that
you get excited about?
Yeah, you get excited about. It's not saying he won't go back to doing that big job, but like,
no, fuck that job.
Yeah, fuck that job. How do you make things work for you? So what can we've worked so hard to get to where we are. Even having an investment property, we feel so lucky that we worked so hard to get that.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, like now, so what, we're just paying 2 mortgages and going to work every day to make sure that we can afford to live because the cost of living and mortgage rates and everything just keeps rising.
What's the investment property for?
Yeah.
What's the idea?
Well, it was our first home, we built it and we'd planned on being in there a lot longer, but it was in Perth.
Yeah.
We were living up there, I was working corporate, so our lives are on this very different tangent. I was working corporate, I was going to move into a management position. Then I fell pregnant with twins, and we're both from Bunbury. And I was like, well, we need family support.
Yeah.
We can't have twins in Perth. Like this is wild. And then, so we came back down here, moved into a granny flat in the back of my mum and dad's house.
Gangster.
Yeah, so good. Well, it was actually my dad and my father-in-law, and my husband turned the shed into a granny flat for us to live in. Yeah. So because we were like, and that was COVID. That was, so yeah. And then we lived there. I think we lived there at Mum and Dad's for like 8 months, saved up, like, and then bought a new house. So down here.
Okay.
But now we've got the one in Perth, and the idea was to keep that for the kids. One day, if they want to move to Perth, they want to go to uni.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's really good to have. It's really helpful for them. But it's like, well, also, what experiences are helpful for them? Like traveling around Australia, that's helpful for them. So
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we don't know yet. We'll obviously wait and see how we go and what we're going to do with that. But yeah.
Oh, and there's so many elements when you're talking about something like that, because there's so many things that you can't guess. Like if we have another like round 2 of COVID shutting everything down, it's like, well, that changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I have, I think right now, like $20,000 of super in my account.
Yeah.
And I like, you know, talking to, I used to call them like sensible old heads. Now I just call them people who are institutionalized by democracy and capitalism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, they say like, oh, you know, especially people like, I'm not saying my dad in particular now, because I feel like I've infiltrated his thinking so much that he doesn't have that opinion anymore. But let's say my dad saying like, you know, what are you doing about your super?
Yeah.
My skills are my super.
Yeah.
Like if I keep doing what I'm doing, the compounding growth I've had just in 3 years, by the time I'm 60, who the fuck cares about super?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll just, you know, like this is the thing, like at the moment, if I kind of delve into this idea, at the moment I'm doing deals that are worth between say $1,000 and $5,000 per client that I talk to, right? This time last year I was doing like $100 to $300 deals, right? So if we just look at that and say, right, if I just stay on that growth, right, I'm going to be doing deals that are worth $100,000 to $300,000 in another, let's speak, you know, conservative 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm 35.
Yeah.
I'm doing $100,000 deals.
Yeah.
So I'm 45. I'm doing $1 million deals.
Yeah.
I'm 55.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I know that's like, all right, you're betting on yourself. Yeah, I bet on myself. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I've done it for 3 years now and I've seen a constant amount of growth. And it's like, even then relying on like, oh, so you think you're going to be doing t-shirts? Well, no, I didn't think I'd be doing fish finders either. I didn't think I'd be doing marketing. I didn't think I'd be doing sign writing.
No. Yeah.
Everything is just a step to the next thing. So then you go, okay, cool. Unfortunately, the hard thing to do, the hard like accepting part of that is you have that thing where you wake up every day and you go like, oh, I'm the guy who's doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one who's like actually betting on myself and hoping that this all works, and I don't have that thing to land on. You go, okay, cool. Well, let's take the investment property into consideration. You go, well, right now we have that security. But if we get rid of that security and we go and chuck that money into the abyss, into the experience, into the like hope that that's a better payoff than what that investment property could have been, and heaven forbid you look back in 25 years and you go, it's worth $1.7 million now.
No. But that's the risk, isn't it?
That's the risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to risk it all is to truly fucking live,
I know.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah. And do you know, I feel like every risk, if you're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, you are only going to grow from it.
Yeah.
Just throwing, like when they wanted me to go back to my corporate role, the twins were 10 months old. I already had this business. It'd been running for 3 years.
Yeah.
So the risk was like, it wasn't ever really an option for me. The kids weren't sleeping. They still don't sleep.
Yeah.
But commuting to Perth, like with 10-month-old babies,
No way.
I was like, no, I have to resign.
Yeah.
So, but then do I get a part-time job for another company down here so that like I can help, like, or do I bet on myself, throw myself 100% into the business and hope to God that it works. Yeah. And like lucky Nathan was very supportive about that as well. He was like, no, like you do your business. Like, and obviously we don't just throw ourselves into risks and not think about it. You talk about it a lot. You talk about the like, okay, how's all this going to work? So if I'm doing this, how, like, can we afford to live off me doing that? Like, and you have to like look back and look over everything every year, and is this still working? And if it's not working, okay, do we need to consider doing, like, you know, you have to consider obviously being open to doing other things, but also I was dead set this is going to work.
Yeah.
I never in my mind did I think
This is a maybe.
This is like I've got this little business and maybe I can get it to work.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, this is going to work. I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
I run a successful business. I've been doing it for 3 years. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And anything I don't know, I'm going to keep learning. And I'm going to keep learning every day and training myself to be better and help my clients and support them.
Right. I think you're in a pretty advantageous position to have a business behind you with 3 years worth of data.
Absolutely.
3 years worth of growth. You're like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff that I know doesn't work. Here's a bunch of stuff that does work. Here's where there's a bit of money. Here's where there's a bit of community. I always go back to the metaphor of like, okay, if you're in a position where you've got a good idea and you've got your job at the moment, which is paying round numbers, $100,000 a year, you're comfortable, you know, you've got your outgoings, whatever, but you're comfortable. You go, oh, should I do this business or should I do it on the side? Should I get a part-time job and do it 50-50? Should I get a day a week and just know that my expenses are paid? I look at it as in right now, you give 50 hours to someone else, right? If we take those 50 hours back and I just said, all you have to do is find a way to generate $100,000 with those 50 hours, right? So we've gone from you don't have the security of a job, but you have 100% of your life.
Yeah.
You got all that time back. You got all that energy back, all that bandwidth, caring about Kim in the smoko room or caring about not getting to work on time or not liking your boss or not liking the job. Like you get all of that bandwidth back and the time.
Yeah.
And now from Monday, when you wake up at 6 o'clock on Monday morning, you have the entire fucking week to figure out how you're going to generate $1,200 for yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? And then if you sprinkle in a little bit of like, well, I like buying and selling.
Yeah.
Or I like working with my hands.
Yeah.
Or I like being in the community. Or I like this. Well, now you've got a step ahead, you know?
Yeah.
So being in a position where like you had a business, you had something established, you've already got an ABN, you've already got a website, you've already got something that works, even if you've got nothing. Now that I know what I know, it's so easy to say, but I just say it so much to people that are in that position when they're like, oh, I don't fucking know. It's like, you should have started yesterday.
Yeah.
You should have told your boss to go fuck himself, so you burn the bridge.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I even let my high risk tickets expire without renewing them because I'm never going to drive a forklift again.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck driving a forklift, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the sooner you can actualize that energy, that time, that bandwidth that you have is better spent on your thing, even if it means that you're going to be in debt for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Who cares? Because after that, the shit that you get in return.
Yeah.
Like not just the money, the community, the character you've built, the understanding of yourself, the connection and what's it called? The tethering to your own life where you're not out of control.
Yeah.
You know?
And knowing that you are probably going to be in debt for 5 years, like as well, like
accept it.
It's all a part of the growth, and if you stick with it, you will get there.
Yeah.
If you go out and you talk to the people and you do the marketing and you like, if you commit and do all the things and know that you're taking those steps every single day in all of those hours that you have, you will be successful. Maybe not straight away. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a year, but it will happen. You just need to stick with it. I think I only started taking like a wage from the business in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
We've been 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there was a little hiatus in the middle where they popped out a few twins, but like 18 months I've taken money from the business. Before then, everything else, I was like, well, how can I use this money? Like, we weren't like, I wasn't going on really expensive holidays, and like we went on one big holiday in like this long amount of time, because that money, I wasn't thinking of money I made in the business as profit for me to then spend and go buy Chanel shoes and cocktails on the weekend. The money that I was making in the business, I think of that as, okay, what can I use? How can I use that to then better grow the business? And once I got to a point where I was like, okay, the business is thriving. Yeah. Now I can start like taking a profit from the business, using it, you know, things like that.
The only thing I care about spending money on is like bike parts, Hot Wheels, and my business.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that is like bike parts and Hot Wheels aren't that much.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know what? For me, it's coffee. That's the only thing. As long as I can afford a coffee, I'm good.
It's all good. As long as I can buy an overpriced coffee once or twice a day, every day of the week, we're good.
Who cares?
Yeah. I think that's a really big thing. You go like, oh, I make $100,000 so I can get a jet ski and this bullshit that doesn't matter.
Who cares about it?
Yeah.
Oh, material things. I can't. I just obviously if you value like something like that and that's going to benefit your life, go for it. But if I feel like like have your things that you love and spend your money on that. Like, you don't need to spend your money on everything and anything and just to have the best of the best, you know? Anyway, I could go on about that for ages.
Yeah. I know one example I always dwell on is I've had 3 pairs of shoes since I started back up.
Yeah, right.
And they've been the same. So, like, literally the only reason I have to get new shoes is because when you're doing wheelies, you're gripping the pegs really hard and it makes holes in your shoes.
Yeah.
But I've had the same Vans 3 times over.
Perfect.
It's like I can literally wear them with everything.
Yeah.
They're really hardy, and also, like, when I got to replace them, they're $99. And trust me, I begrudgingly, whatever the word is, I never want to hand over the money for those shoes.
No.
Because that's $100 I can spend on my business somewhere.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. 100%.
It's such a bizarre thing that, like, I've got friends that are in mountains of debt, working jobs that they hate, their relationships falling apart because they live in this life of silent desperation where they probably don't even like the people that they're with anymore because they don't spend any time with them because they're always at work paying for shit that they don't really give a fuck about, but it gives them some sort of social status in an Instagram post.
Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness, yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't we all get tricked all at once and everyone's fallen for it?
I know. Like, the biggest thing we ever was pay off your debts.
Yeah.
We only have mortgages. That's it. We don't have any loans. We don't have car loans. We paid it all off.
Yeah.
Because if you can't afford to own something, you shouldn't have it.
Yeah, 100%.
And what does having that $800 pair of shoes, what does that give you? Like, what do you get out of that? Like, I understand that people do like nice things and like the value.
No, even that. They're confused.
Yeah.
They're
like,
confused.
What purpose does that have?
It's a misappropriation of value.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you go to the eating at a restaurant model, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you know, you go out and you get all dressed up and you sit at a table and shit's uncomfortable and you eat food that you don't normally eat and it's richer than food you normally. You go home, you got a stomach ache and you're like, I paid $200 to feel like shit.
Yeah.
You know, like date night is KFC and Rick and Morty. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, because it's tried and tested.
Yeah.
Every time it works.
Yeah.
You know, and then this thing of like, I don't understand going to a restaurant to wear clothes that you don't normally wear that are probably going to be uncomfortable, to get the food that you don't normally fuck with just for the sake of saying that you went to a restaurant.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then like...
I might have to disagree a little bit there just because I'm a big foodie. So I probably do like the food.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That is something that you do like.
It's a special treat as well.
Right.
It's not... I have all this money, so I need to go to the go out for drinks and cocktails and blah, blah, blah every week, and I need to wear all these clothes and stuff. Like, there's balance, you know?
I think the example I'm making is more like, and I wouldn't call Bucks a restaurant. Actually, I think Bucks is a restaurant.
Yeah, Bucks is a restaurant.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where, like, 100%, I'm happy to pay. Like, if that's a $70 outing for, you know, me and Dad and Riz or whatever, it's like, fuck yeah, worth every cent.
Yeah.
Yes, agree. Yeah. But then it's like, oh, we're going to go to Perth for the night to go to this particular restaurant that has a great Instagram page. It's like, nah, I don't resonate with that.
Yeah.
I don't resonate with that at all.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I did. I definitely, when I was younger, I reckon I went through that phase of you're trying to get, what's the word I'm looking for? You're trying to get like value and from being somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get happiness and value from going somewhere because it looks like you should go there and everyone's going there.
Look, if you go there and don't take a photo, you're allowed.
Yeah.
But if first time you post something on Instagram, fuck you. You're not doing it for you.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for the food.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And like you take something like Milky Lane.
Yeah.
Milky Lane is established on making shit that's Instagram worthy.
Yeah.
It's like their tagline.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what angle you take a photo in that place.
Yeah.
Whether it's a food, the table, the setting, the staff, whatever, it's all for Instagram.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like the people that get dressed up just to take photos for Instagram. Like people who have photo shoots to post on Instagram, like go back to fucking work. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like who are you advertising to?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like obviously in that context, I mean, in a greater view, it's the meat market of the world. That is the pub on a Friday night now. It's like you open up the list of all the potential partners that I can have. So if I'm going to be a potential partner for someone, then I want to look my best, you know? So I'm going to makeup and photo shoot and this and that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm like one of the few people that's like looking at people doing this and it's like, what is going on? This is a mental illness. You know?
Yeah. And like, because I know that I did use, when I was younger, like, it was about where you were and like what you were wearing. And, you know, that was such a massive thing. And I feel like in business, as you get older, like, your priorities change. And I think, now it seems wasteful. Like, the time, the money, when, like, does that actually make you happy? Is that what you want to be doing, or are you just doing it and wearing it because you think that that's what you should be wearing or doing?
Look, I'm the biggest contrarian, because I'm saying this because I've grown through a phase of that being important to me.
I think everyone did.
That's the point. That's the point.
Do you know what? For like, people think that as a teenager, that's you go through it then. It's not. It's early 20s. I reckon early 20s for me was, and you're talking about like you wake up and your 20s are gone. I don't remember the first half of my 20s.
No, not at all.
First half of my 20s was so confusing. And I think, how old was I when we started the business? I'm not sure, but that's when I think I really started to figure stuff out. Before then, I was just doing things because it was the right thing to do, or what I should be doing.
It's almost like an autonomy.
It was autonomous. It was what everyone expected you to be doing, and where you should be going and what you should be wearing, and you were just going with it because that's what everyone was doing.
Again, I mean, we go back to, you know, you are the average of your 5 closest people in your life, you know. And you go back to these times and you're like, who was I hanging out with? And it's like, oh, I got tattooed because I was hanging out with these people. I wore all black because I was hanging out with that person. I got into Harleys because of that. I got into cars because of that. And now you talk about the 5 closest people to me: business owner. And of course, when you're constantly talking to like people that I perceive to be on the same level, there's a few people that are like, I don't say they're just doing less in business than what I'm doing. They're not below me. They're just doing less than what I'm doing. And then people that are doing more than what I'm doing. And having that spectrum. I don't have anyone that we sit down and talk about the weather. I don't have anyone that we talk about the football.
Or other people.
We talk about ideas. We talk about the future. We talk about like, what's this
and
micro...
Our lives. Not other people's lives, not what other people are doing.
Right.
Your life and how you're going to get to the next level and what you're doing to better yourself. And
exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Jason walked in for the podcast last week, and the first thing he said, and this is such a great like microcosm of what being a business in, is like, what are the pain points of your business at the moment? And like the joy that I had in me to answer that question was like, oh, I thought no one would ever ask me that. I'm so excited to tell you what's been going, because we're constantly analyzing. You know, like fuck, like at the moment I'm really going through this big. I didn't realize it until like 2 days ago. I'm having a real big problem with how I communicate with particular people. Right. And I'm now at a point where I'm asking my mentors like, hey, when you're faced with this particular form of communication, how do you deal with it? Never thought I'd be the person that would ask that question. What the fuck are we talking about? But to have Jason come in and ask me that, rather than like, oh, what's been going on? You know, like, how are you? It's like, no one gives a fuck about how I am. You know what I mean? No one. Look at my Instagram. That'll tell you. What's your pain points in your business been? Bro, let me give you a hug. Thank you for asking me. Here's what it is.
Absolutely.
That's huge. So when you look at like that pinball machine of being in your 20s, of just like floating from like, you know, for me it was like dubstep events and partying and doing drugs and having a coffee van. How I tripped and fell into having a coffee van. I never like aspired to be a business owner, but I always wanted to have a little bit of control. And it was like a coffee van popped up and my dad was like, that's a good idea. And I was like, oh, it's a good idea then. You know, and then all of a sudden I was like 2 years in, I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking business owner. What happened here? You know? So I think the intent that you get from being a business owner, you know, it ties into your goal setting and it ties into going like, oh, I like this part of my life and I don't like that part of my life. And then you meet people like Jace and he's 22 years old and he's turning over more than $1 million a year and you're like, fuck, bro, just good on you, you know? How good.
I, like when you talk about the 5 people around you that you spend the most time with, all of my friends are the same. Like like Rosie, I've known her since I was 16, 17. My best friend, we're born a day apart. I've known her since I was a baby.
Wow,
So I have these friendships that I've held on to for a really long time, but these friends have all evolved as well. So these friends are all doing amazing in their life. You know, they're good people, you know. So yeah, it's really interesting because you're very right, and like making sure you keep the right people around you as
Hugely
well.
important.
Yeah.
And deleting people that aren't.
Yeah.
It's hard, but the better you get at it, the quicker you move.
Yeah, and that have the same values as you, and like just want to be a good person and want to do better for themselves. I know. So I'm very lucky. Rosie's like my business partner as well as my friend. Like I know that's not very common. But when we catch up, the stuff we are talking about is like growth stuff. We're talking about like about the business, about her career. She works for BHP. She's a safety superintendent. We're talking about our problems in business. We're talking about how we can and supporting each other through that and helping each other and like what's going on in each other's lives. Okay, that's really hard for you. How can I, and I think like what you said about Jason coming here and asking you that question, having the people around you that ask those questions.
Yeah, and care about the answer.
Answer. That's what's important. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's a bloody wild thing to. There's an element in there where you actually have total control. Mm-hmm. You have total control.
Yeah.
And I feel like the tighter you grip the wheel, the more you want more control, and you're like, oh wow, I can actually, like this bit of little toxicity in my mind or in my life or in my friendship group, I can actually work towards cutting that out, and then once it's cut out, I can then distance myself, and then I can turn the other way, and then I just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and like you have so much time, but it's actually not a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have to be so selective in my time and how I spend it, especially having young kids, because I only get a certain amount of hours a day. So there's things I need to focus on, there's things I need to get done, and there's conversations that I need to have, and there's conversations that I don't need to have. Yep. I'm not going to have conversation about what someone is doing something over there when what's happening with their family. That doesn't affect me. It doesn't help me. So how can I cut that out and focus on what helps me grow and helps the business grow and helps my family?
100%. I think also we were speaking earlier about people go, what's a good business idea where I don't have to work much and I can just sit on the beach and be on my laptop and all that. And the idea is that you're going to gain more time. Yeah. You're going to get more value and more time into your life through being, an entrepreneur or a business owner.
Or entrepreneur.
Yeah. Fucking entrepreneur is a worse word than manifest or religion or anything, I believe. People say, oh, you're an entrepreneur. It's like, nah, dude, I'm just someone who moves. Yeah. I'm just someone who's just stepping up. And not to a point to brag about. It's like, I do it in a way to challenge myself. Yeah. I want to know that I can.
Yeah, it's not about anyone else. It's about you. And
it's such a personal journey that people like to focus on the byproduct of oh, your success has been this. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm worried about today and tomorrow and the day after. I'm not looking back and going oh, I built this, rah. Yeah. But one thing I thought of just before is I had some downtime where I went and had a chat with Jordan Gianfrancesco. Do you know Jordan?
Yeah, yep.
Right. So Jordan and I catch up. We try to catch up once a week. It's more like once every bloody 5 weeks because he's so much busier than me, but we're both busy. And I went and sat down at 1:30 the other day and left there at 4 o'clock. Yeah. And it was the fucking best because we're talking shop and I'm saying I'm dealing with this at the moment. I'm actually talking about going into commercial property. I want to do that, rah. And I leave there with a list of stuff to go and just think on, to research, to get back to him about, to send to him, for him to send to me and all the rest. And you realize that the real valuable part of having a business is having the time to sit down and talk with people that really inspire you and motivate you and are fun to talk to and they value the same way you value them. But realistically, I had a business meeting. Yeah. That's what that was. Yeah. So there's two parts of this. How much I enjoyed that meeting, even though it was a business meeting, but it's this whole thing that I have that affords me the time to go to do that. Mm-hmm. And then the thing that I'm looking forward to doing is business. Yeah. It's that's a good business. Yes. Yep. That's what you should do, is a thing that comes so organically and so easily. And when you're doing it, you're I'm in the middle of it and I'm having this, I'm at work right now and I'm loving this. Yeah. It's that's the sort of business that you should try and get.
100%. And you shouldn't be looking externally for your business. You should be looking internally. Yeah. What do you like? What do you not like? What are you good at?
Yeah. What are you good at? It's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find, it's funny actually, I was talking to a bloke who's coming to work for me and we were talking about. I said, "Oh, imagine if you had like a shed and it was climate controlled and like the doors locked and you just no one knew where the shed was and your job was detailing cars and you had all the tools you need to detail cars and all the different washers and buffers and all the ceramic coating and all the rest. How good that would be!" Because I know he's just like me. He loves finicky jobs that you can take way too long to do, and he goes, "Man, that's the fucking goal. Hey, just to be uninterrupted with a job that's going to take longer than you can perceive what the plan is going to be."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we should start a detailing business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like either of us are going to do that, but it's like that's one of those things where like that's such an easily monetizable idea.
Yeah.
And it's like I was saying that just as like a fun thought project for us to be like, oh, that's almost an ASMR feeling of like that'd be fucking sick. Having all the tools you need to do a good job of something you like doing.
Yeah.
That's how business works.
Yeah. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. But fuck detailing cars. I like making clothes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know. You'd like it for a shorter period of time, and then
I think I like detailing one car every 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and being uninterrupted while doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have to think about it. Like, you got to realize that yes, you love doing it. Are you going to keep loving doing it if you're doing it every single day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, like, I know when I was a truck driver, I like the, because being a truck driver is you look back more than you look forward.
Yeah.
So you constantly, it's that alongside you have to move 4 moves in advance.
Yeah.
Because if you take a road train into an area that you have to back out of, you're so far done if you don't know how, especially if you don't know how to back a road train. But like you have to constantly be thinking like, if I want to end up over there, how do I do that? If I'm going to go around this corner, because you can't just turn a corner in a truck. You'll end up, one of your trailers is going to grab it, and so you have to swing all the way over here to go over there. So you're constantly thinking steps ahead.
Yeah.
Driving a truck is so. Thinking 4 steps ahead, I really like.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, oh, cool. We get to make a plan and stick to it. Sick.
Yeah.
And then adapting that into the business model of like, okay, so in business, thinking 4 steps ahead is super advantageous.
That strategy mindset.
Yeah. Right. So I think that when you go like looking internally to find like, what do you like doing, what resonates with you, even looking at the method that you take to achieve whatever you achieve, and you're like, well, which part do I like? If you're someone who likes checking off lists, that's a huge benefit in business. You know, if you're someone who likes, you know, we've already kind of spoken about this, but like talking to people, lean into the talking to people thing.
Yeah.
If you're someone like Jason said on his podcast, like I started my business because I didn't want to deal with anyone. So I started a cleaning business. I come into your house while you're not there. I clean everything. I disappear. I get paid. Because the problem is now I'm so busy that I have to communicate with more people than ever because I need a staff of 20 people to keep up with the demand.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that finding like, what do you actually like doing, and then looking to make a business around that.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, how are you feeling? I'm feeling like we've
I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff
mo-
today.
most topics under the sun, hey?
Yeah. I feel
Right.
like we could talk for probably another 6 hours, but
Yeah. Well, you said before, I don't know what this chat's meant to be about. I find that whatever the common ground is between the guest and I, it's like usually we wrap that out pretty quickly, and it's like, oh, we're talking about, it's always business.
Yeah.
I love business. I'm mostly talking to people who are either surrounded by business or in business for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think we've hit the nail on the head.
Perfect.
Absolutely. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
On Instagram, we're at The Climb Collaborative, or our website, www.theclimbcollaborative.com.au. We also have Facebook. I'm working on TikTok. I just don't have a lot of time for that.
I don't know.
So
TikTok's one of those.
I feel like our target market isn't really on TikTok, so I'm not putting too much effort into it, but I just feel like I have to be present on there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, your website.
Threads.
Yeah, Threads. I feel like pick 2.
Yeah.
Pick 2 and send it home.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
obviously you don't own your followers, you don't own the platform.
Yeah.
But man, you also don't own 50 hours in a day.
No.
You only really own like 12 of them.
Yeah, I'm about streamlining processes. The only reason I've even picked up TikTok is because I just download my reels and repost them to TikTok, because Instagram and Facebook for us, that's where Facebook groups is where we find a lot of
Facebook groups is huge.
massive. Yeah.
I think also the TikTok algorithm will throw you out using something generated in Instagram and vice versa.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I mean, this is a fuck thing. If you create something in the app, it'll always prioritize it on the algorithm.
Yeah.
You know, use their music, use their features and all the rest. And especially if it's a new feature and you use it, they'll help you even more. So then you go, well, okay, is the thing that has a TikTok logo or an Instagram logo floating around as valuable as something I could have created perhaps in third-party apps or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. That whole conversation is just fucking boring to me now, hey?
Yeah, that's a whole... Because that's why I always just created Reels in the Reels app, because I know Instagram prioritize Reels, create in Reels, and that's where most of our like audience and community is. So whereas TikTok, I was like, I'm not going to create TikToks and post them on Instagram.
Yeah, it's silly. And I feel like TikToks are it's a different form of entertainment.
It is. I feel like I'm not going onto TikTok for business stuff.
Yeah.
I know that I can, and Rosie's all about short form video content.
Oh,
so
really?
That's
super handy.
She's just all over Reels, and she's always sending me Reels and TikToks. I actually had to re-download TikTok because she just sent me TikToks all the time, and I never watched them. Sorry, Rosie. She always sends me all these really valuable Reels and TikToks, and some of them are business stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can. But yeah, it's about, I think, prioritizing what's important in your business and like with the time you have. And at the moment, posting on social media, that's not getting me the clients that I want.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if I do, normally every time I do post, I get some kind of lead they're not usually, some of them are good leads, other are like, they're just, trying to get,
Yeah, you're a B2B style business.
B2B, yeah.
So the only businesses that are you really going to appeal to on Instagram are businesses that are on Instagram themselves. I'm finding like my B2C customers are just like, no offense, they're just shit. Yeah. They want two things. They want it cheap. When I say like two things compared to like, I had a customer the other day do a 160 tea order.
Yeah.
Compared to the person who's like, oh, can you print the 2 teas that I'm going to supply? It's like, do you understand that I'm literally like losing money on this job?
Yeah, yeah.
Like all the time is in the setup and the pack up.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm setting up for 2 things where I don't make money on the garment, it's like I'm literally losing money. And there's all the time in the correspondence and all the rest. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate, because that's what everything was built on, B2C.
Yeah.
But then when you get a taste of B2B, you're like, oh, god damn, I can make that much money off one deal?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa. So I think the lead generation of social media is definitely like, well, most users are customers, they're not businesses.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it is a hard sell. But also the greater what am I trying to say? Portrayal, that's not a word. The greater way you're portrayed by the community through your kind of like appearance. I'm losing my words now. Through being on social media, it's like that stands for a lot.
Yeah, that's the value for me, I think, is the reason we use social media so much for our marketing is that trying to get our values and personality across. And obviously it's a lot easier through social media than it is through any other platform to, like, people can get to know you, what you like, are you genuine, supportive, approachable? These are all the things you can get across through socials. But
100%. Rightio. Well,
we better wrap it up.
Yeah, if you'd like to find more of Ash, everything is in the description below, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify or you know how the internet works. Just fucking find her, all right? Anyway, be good to your mum, and we'll catch you later. Yo!